Mic check 1 2 1 2. We in the booth. Woo! I don't know, y'all. Is that my introduction here on IGTV? Still trying to figure it out. We're flowing with it. But Huff a Day World. Hello, Guahan. Welcome, Marianas, to Educating Suicide with Lived Experiences on the Social Progress Podcast. This episode is currently being recorded via IG Live and can be later found uploaded under IGTV as well as Anchor on Spotify for now at the Social Progress Podcast. We're about to do a tech check here, so I highly depend on the listeners. Let me know how the video is doing as well as the sound. We did a quick tech check earlier, but just in case, because we all know our internet can be a little wobbly, and as well as if y'all can start showing some love by dropping down the purple and blue hearts together in the comments to welcome our guest speaker. And just for a little context, I just wanted to let y'all know John Lee and I have been talking about her story and her experiences for a while now, and I'm so grateful and blessed to be able to experience this new journey with her, where she navigates and learns how she can use her lived experiences to make change in our community, and in our homes around suicide. So I greatly appreciate working with her, especially that she is my family, she is my cousin, and we're millennials. So it's such a great thing to be conversating about suicide together, a topic that is very silenced and taboo within our homes and within our communities. So without further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and invite her in. So start dropping them blue and purple hearts, y'all, so we can get. Um, I just want to share that, sometimes sharing our vulnerability is a challenging thing. And, things could get emotional and it could be rough for us to share in fear of, judgment, or just in fear of actually facing our fears. So I'm so grateful to my sister Jonnah Lee for being strong and for choosing to share her lived experiences with us. So that way we can actually make positive um, change. So, yes, y'all, everybody show some love. Welcome, sis.
Hi, can you hear me good?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Everyone in the comments, talk to us. We will be highly depending on y'all, so y'all are a part of the team here as far as tech check. So let us know how the sound, let us know how the video is going. I see and I hear you perfectly, sis.
Okay, let me just get something to lift my phone up real quick.
Esta, esta. While we're waiting, everybody, puff a butt, please hit that share button and share this to as many people as you humanly possibly can. Our goal, as always, is to just reach one person. And once you reach that one person is going to reach another and another and another. So please share this live, and I will go ahead and pin a reminder to use the question box for any comments or questions that you have directly to Jonnah Lee. So that way it's all organized and we can pop it up in the screen here.
So this is my first time on IG Live. Bear with me. And I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm nervous, but I'm so excited.
Yes, yes. This is nerve-wracking, but I'm also very excited and grateful. Do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm just opening up your our little conversation.
Spiel. Oh yeah.
I forgot to open it up earlier, so let me just open real quick.
So while we're just organizing, y'all, again, I just pinned the comment to remind you guys, please use the question box down below. It's the little message icon with the question inside. Those questions are going to be shared directly with me so that I can pop it on the screen, share it with John Lee throughout this process. We'll go ahead and share comments and questions towards the end, after we get this story going.
Yeah. Okay, well, first of all, let's give credit where it's due. Thank you guys for hopping on. First of all, I mean, God above all, just for really bringing us together and allowing us this space to even be here. For Chelsea, the social progressor, I am so blessed that you have given me this opportunity to talk about something that's meant so much to me for a very long time. A huge shout out to Crowns Guam for releasing this Choose You shirt, which, if you didn't know, May was Mental Health Awareness Month. And they released this shirt along with Tuma Guam, who I'm so grateful for. Tuma Guam is Talk Up Mental Health Awareness. If you have not followed them, please follow them. They hold a really, really big space in my heart for all that they do. Yeah, so follow Crowns Guam and Tuma for such amazing work that they do. But yeah, again, my name is Jonnah Lee, and I'm just really here to share my story, not necessarily my direct story, but really to share whatever I can about this whole mental health awareness and suicide awareness. So yeah, let's jump into it. And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you all. It means a lot to us. Even if it's just a little goes a long way, and that's where we're gonna start.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that, John. I'm just grateful because even if we can do something as little as hold a conversation, I'm trying to remind myself as well as reciprocate that with, my environment and the people that I work with, that there's no such thing as any little thing because every little thing counts. So I'm grateful for everything that we do. And I guess just so everyone's aware, I'm going to go ahead and ask John Lee some questions so that way she could share her story. And then we'll go ahead and share any questions and comments that y'all placed in the comment box towards the end so that way we can do
But my
our
little baby wants to say hi first.
Yes! Hi, Jordan! Hi, Mama! Jordan, I love you! I love you!
Being
What
silly.
the hell?
She's nervous.
Yeah. Let's have her stay with us. That's fine. Whatever y'all need.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump in. And so just tell us a little bit about your beginning experiences with suicide in general. Just any experience. Yeah, any experience.
Suicide in general. So honestly, I was born in '89. Back in my day when I was younger, and I'm talking about like elementary, middle school, this was never a topic that was talked about. Mental health was never a topic that was talked about. Suicide was never a topic that was talked about. And personally, I just can't recall like anybody talking about it. Nobody ever talked about mental health, how it's important to take care of you mentally, how it was important to choose you. Never talked about the whole suicide issue. And I think maybe it was like a hidden thing, but back in my day, and when I say that, I mean like middle school and elementary, like, and teenage years, like the years that kind of like really mold you to who you are or the kind of attitude you have, right? So in my day, it wasn't like you didn't hear about it so often. So obviously they weren't talking about it. And then you didn't hear about that many suicide deaths. And that may just be because they weren't talking about it. So it may have been there, but nobody was talking about it, right? So you don't even know what you didn't know there was so many people that were committing suicide, or so many people that were struggling mentally, because again, mental health was not such a big thing. And I think that personally, this is everything I say. If it's not my story direct, is my personal opinion. Please don't be offended by it. It's just how I personally feel from how I grew up. And I think it was just our culture. Like, our culture was always like, you don't talk about certain things, or you're tomorrow, you're not weak. You have to be strong. You know what I mean? You had to be strong. So I think that personally is what it came down to for me is, and then I think also it's such an uncomfortable conversation. So I think people didn't know how to talk about it. And because it wasn't out there, they never felt safe about talking about it. And when I mean safe, I mean like no judgment, an open space for it, stuff like that, right? So I think that wasn't provided because, again, it just was not talked about the way it is now. Um, so yeah, I think that's really what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate your share, and I just want to affirm that yes, during those times, you're right. A lot of these conversations around mental health or anything, anything social struggling related in, our families or in our homes was really shut down or closed off or pretty private. To share with others outside of our family. So, with that being said, you shared your experiences with, just learning about it or hearing about it and people just talking about it in general. Can you share some things that you wish you knew about suicide, self-harm, suicide ideation?
Gosh, everything. So let me just tell you. So when I was younger, in my mind, anytime something hard hit or whatever, the exit route was suicide, right? Not necessarily to succeed, but just self-harm, right? So that was my exit route. Not that I always did that, okay? It was just in my head, and that's how I viewed it. Again, it wasn't ever talked about, so it's not something that I can even say like I wish that had happened or that I knew that, because it was never something that was talked about. So I knew absolutely nothing. And the crazy part is okay, I'll just share a little story about me, and maybe this will help people understand. So one time I'm not going to lie, and please, this is not, don't do this, okay? I did try to kill myself, and I was admitted into mental health. It's like a teenager at the time. Anyways, even at that, even with the mental health admission, it still was not talked about. I recall being there. I recall questions, assessments, all of that stuff, right? The normal, you go to the clinic, go to the doctor, they're going to ask you a million and one questions about you, about what happened, yada, yada, all that good stuff, right? But it was never talked about after that. You get released, and guess what happens? You moved on with your life. Again, it was not talked about, right? It was not talked about to mentally take care of you, to learn how to heal, to choose you, and to know that there's so much more to life than using that as your exit. There's people around, there's so many people around you that you can reach out to, whether it's a professional, whether it's someone you're related to, whether it's school. And I think that's one of the biggest things too, is us individuals just reaching out or just being open to people, and letting them know that we're there for them. However, and you know what, that doesn't even mean directly, like somebody can tell you like, hey, I have an issue, and if you can't help them, don't stop there. Go to the next one, and maybe you have a friend, maybe you know a professional, maybe you know someone who knows a professional that can help them. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody came to me and like, hey, I have this issue that I really need to talk about, and I have absolutely no history on the subject that you have an issue with or whatever, let's not stop there. Let me use my resources or your resources or anybody's resources to get to the next person that can help. So I think that's the biggest thing, is it just was not talked about, right? So the things that I know now, of course, I truly wish that I knew everything back then, and I truly wish that we were more open to talking and making this conversation a safe conversation, rather than, it's always, conversations are always going to be uncomfortable all the time, right? Regardless what kind of conversation it is, always going to be uncomfortable, especially when it hits home for you. When a conversation or a topic hits home for you, it gets uncomfortable, because you know that that's true, you know that that's your situation, um, and you just never had anybody talk to you about it, right? So that's always going to be uncomfortable, but that's what we need, is we need everything we know now, that we've lived through or whatever. We need to talk about it. We need to have an open space, an open and honest space, and a safe space for people to talk to us about it, or anybody, and to make everyone know that this is okay to talk about, that we don't have to hide this, that it's not something that we're going to sweep under the rug and wait for the next incident to happen to make a move. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes. Definitely. Yes, 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 definitely. And I just wanted to pause really quick. Just again to say thank you for sharing. And I am watching everybody in the comment section, so please continue to let your experiences, whether it's your personal private experience as you feel comfortable, or your experiences with actually going in to like a mental health clinic, like Dominique shared, as well as using the question box to, if you want to expand on any statement or response that you have, as well as questions, please use it in the comment box as well. And I just wanted to amplify and also just pause really quick. Thank you for reminding me, John Lee. I forgot in the beginning. I should have put a disclaimer. For everybody listening, because this will be later recorded or later uploaded to Instagram TV as well as to the podcast. So just a disclaimer, y'all, as the title and as the description already shares, that we will be talking about suicide, suicide ideation and self-harm as well. So just be conscious to the content that y'all are listening to. And I just wanted to quickly amplify that, yes, sometimes we're going to experience to where we go get professional help or personal help. Sometimes we just stop at, resource number one. But like John Lee said, continue to reach out in many different ways. And me, myself, being someone that has gone through a traumatic experience, I can also attest to the fact that I did stop in certain points in my life where I should have gotten help. And I believe that my mentality was so like, you're going through this alone, no one understands, or no one's going to support you, no one's going to help you. But I just want to put it out there as well that that is a lie, y'all. And even though you're in a rough situation or a rough environment where you don't have a safe space, please try and find every way, reaching out to a friend, reaching out to a family member, school, any trusted, mental health awareness pages that you see on social media that's going on and that they're very interactive with the community. Please reach out however you possibly can. And of course, that's not the only resource, and sometimes it's not going to work out like that. But yeah, I see the comments coming into the question box as well, so continue to let those questions flow. And talking about reaching out and getting help and finding resources, um, what are some stigmas or some beliefs that were taught to you, or that you believe around self-harm or around suicide? And I know we're going to save a lot of details for later episodes, but you could also reflect, like, because I know you said there was not much awareness back then, but you can reflect on your experience with now.
Um, so really, I mean, again, I mentioned that, the exit route was always, I'm gonna hurt myself. That's gonna be my exit route. Um, just so you know, it hurts my heart to say, and I'm even gonna cry already. It hurts my heart to say that I'm going to kill myself, or like, that hits home for me more so now than ever. And I'm gonna stop crying. So if you catch me not saying that and kind of using something else, it's really just because it hits home for me a lot right now. Um, and at our next episode, you'll understand why. But let me just jump into Anita Rubber's comment real quick, because this will kind of touch up on it, okay? Um, again, when I was younger, there was no real conversation, no get help kind of thing, right? This was always a topic that was just swept under the rug, okay? Um, Anita says, earlier I talked about the whole mental health thing and them not talking about it. Really, they ask you the questions and you get released and you call it a day. Never really hear from them after that, right? Um, it's just, again, it just was not talked about. That's all it is, okay? But she says, as someone who's been in 3 times, I noticed that everyone became more careful what they say around you and just act so different. This is so true till this day, right? The minute you hear somebody, oh, I want to kill myself or whatever, it's like it just goes silent, or like it's like people don't know what to say to them, right? Like, you don't know how to react, you don't know what the right thing is, you don't want to say anything because you might say the wrong thing, you know what I'm saying? And even if you don't know what to say, you can still be there. Sometimes all it takes is for you to tell someone, I'm here if you need me. Don't even say anything after. You know what I'm saying? Just the reassurance that you're giving them hope that somebody is there. That's all you need to do. And the whole, like, just acting different around people, like, we shouldn't do that. We should not act different, because personally, for me, again, my personal opinion, you make I would feel some type of way if somebody started to act differently because I said I wanted to commit suicide. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I don't want to deal with her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes that's our way of just really reaching out to someone. We don't know how to reach out. We don't know how to say, hey, I need to talk about this. Hey, I'm feeling like this and I feel like I'm going to commit suicide or whatever. Like, we don't know how to, like, kind of ease that conversation. So we go to the extreme and just be like, oh, I just want to kill myself. Or somebody's just angry and says that, right? Or I want to hurt myself or stuff like that. When you're angry, you say so many things. And that doesn't mean that just because somebody's angry, you stop there. That doesn't mean like, oh, they're angry. They don't mean it. Trust me. They mean it. And that's their way of reaching out. That's their way of seeking help. Like, hey, I need help. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where we have to step up and just be like, take it seriously. Take those comments seriously. And then if it's anything that I've learned, just in the past few years, and more so um, in the last few months, is check up on your people. Please check up on your people. Um, a phone call, honestly, personally, I truly believe a phone call or a FaceTime is more effective than a text message. Anybody over text message will tell you they're good. When you talk to someone and you hear their voice, when you see someone face to face like this, the way we're talking, the way we can see each other, or when you FaceTime or video call somebody, you can see their reaction. You can tell they are not okay. You can hear it in their voice. I mean, if a text is all you can do, please just do that. If that is all you can do, if you're busy or you just can't hop on, you don't, you have an old school phone that doesn't allow you to FaceTime, whatever. Or, if your parents don't have cell phones, or and you just pick up the phone, they can pick up their landline. If that is the only way that you can reach out, reach out. Even even if it's just to say, hey, what you doing today? How's your day going? Or, hey, I do this sometimes to my friends, and I think some of them are online. Um, when I say this, you guys are going to be like, yeah, you're right. I do this sometimes. So if I don't hear from certain friends, like in a few hours, I'm like, hey, are you good? Are you okay? I haven't heard from you since yesterday, because you have friends or family or whoever that you guys' schedules. You guys communicate often, so to go an extra long period of not hearing from them, even if it's them sending you a funny meme or whatever, it's like something wrong with her, you know what I'm saying? Something's wrong with them. And so that's it. Just if it's anything I've learned and anything that I will always continue to do moving forward, is check up on people. Check up on your friends, check up on your family, um, check up on whoever. I mean, you just don't know. So it's really just checking in, making sure they're okay, and just, if they ever say they need to talk, please talk to them. If you can't talk to them, give them my number, give them my Instagram. Like, I'm willing to talk to whoever. And again, it goes really back to, if you can't help them and you truly know somebody that may be able to help them, connect them together. If you think one of your friends can help them better than you can, reach out to your friend and be like, hey, I have somebody that reached out to me and I don't know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? You think you can do, you think I could exchange your numbers, or Instagram, you can DM. I know people don't like to give their numbers these days, but DM them, and just check up on them. And I will share a story with you, and this actually talks about it. I don't know if they're online right now, but so I share a lot of my story kind of on my Instagram, about the latest suicide death that I've had in my life. Um, anyways, one of my longtime friends, I think we've been friends since like middle school, and she lives in the States now. And so she messaged me one day and she was like, hey, I have a friend who's kind of going through what you went through, right? Her other half also committed suicide. And I know that there's something wrong with her. She always says there's nothing wrong, it's okay, I'm okay, all that yada yada stuff. But I know there's something wrong with her. Do you think that I can just um you can reach out to her? I could give her your Instagram, whatever, right? Exchange contact information, because we're kind of going through the similar situation. So I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. So her friend messages me like maybe a couple of days later or something, and I also went to school with this girl. I didn't know that it was one of our other friends. So they're closer in friends because they've known each other longer and stuff. But, I went to school with her. So when she reached out, I was just, I was shocked. I was so speechless because you're just like, like the fact that your friend even said, hey, you think I could, exchange your information so you guys can talk? And then it hurts even more because it's somebody you know and you had no idea. You know what I mean? So, I mean, my friend, if you're online, you know who you are, and I appreciate you for doing that. Yeah, so my friend and I that are going through this kind of the same situation, we just check in every once in a while, like, hey, you good? Stuff like that. Like, if you can't help them, but you know somebody that could, or if you don't know how to respond to it, but you know somebody that could, please find a way to get them that information, or to link them up with whoever you think might be able to help them. And social media is such a wide thing now. Like, you can basically search in any hashtag and find somebody to help them. There's so many groups out there. Chelsea and I will get together on that and share those groups with you, that may be able to help you, because I mean, I'm just an individual who has experienced so much suicide, um, family members who have taken their life by suicide. So I'm not a professional. I'm just an individual that it struck home too many times for me, and in the last few months, earlier this year, it really struck home for my kids and I. So um, I may not be able to help you professionally, but trust me, I will help you get that help if that's the route you want to take. If you want to take your route to a professional level, I will help you get there, even if it's just looking up the information for you. Um, but if you feel like you need to talk to someone, you don't have anyone in your friend circle or your family circle that you can talk to, please feel free to DM me, or you can message Chelsea for my information. I will not share my information publicly, but if you private message her or me, I will share it with you if we need to go that route of exchanging phone numbers or whatever. But um, yeah, so that's my opinion in that topic.
Yes. Thank you again, for expressing and for sharing. And I appreciate you for being honest and also for applying your lived experiences. And yes, y'all, that's another disclaimer and just awareness right now is that we're not professionals here. All of these videos and all of these conversations that I hold, they are based off of our lived and learned experiences. And the reason why I uplift lived experiences is because for a long time, I put a lot of my lived experiences under my attempt to get a degree. And I felt like my experiences weren't worthy or weren't strong enough as far as advice or to encourage somebody because it wasn't academia, it wasn't academic. However, I just also want to say, our lived experiences is a degree. It is a degree on a lesson that we go through. And in this scenario, the lesson is suicide. Jonnah Lee has gone through multiple experiences of suicide loss in different times of her life. And that's one of the main reasons why we decided to break down this story so that one, it could be breathable for Jonnah Lee herself, because a lot of these conversations we're holding, it's very challenging, and for two, consumable and just digestible for our listeners and myself as well to hold the conversation, because it's just so packed with so much power and just so much like heaviness, but again also light and power. um so yeah, reach out to the people that you trust and need help on. And again, this is all our lived experiences, which I uplift and I appreciate, because it's just as good, if not better, than actually, not to say that it's better than professional opinions and stuff like that. But it's equally important on both sides, because something like suicide, we need all hands on deck, all resources as possible, because we all go through different things in different ways. Things that help Jonnah Lee are not going to be things, might not be things that help me. And things that help me might not be things that can help a listener. So it's really all up to, how we grieve and how we accept these life challenges that we go through and that we face on a daily basis. So thank you for that. Just checking in with the comments. I see y'all. And yes, sis, I think some of your friends are in here. Deshanae, she said, yes, you do, girl. Girl. Love Judy's throwing up some white hearts. Uncle Mario here. Your talk to your Uncle Chelsea. Alicia XO, my friend. Thank you for always showing some love, dropping some hearts. For anybody just joining in, please use the comment box, question box down below for any question comments that you have for Johnny Lee. And this is our last question we have here, and then we'll go ahead and open the floor up to anybody in the audience that wants to share their questions. So, before we move on, did you have any final words that you wanted to share about social stigmas? A part of doing these testimony interviews and sharing these stories is to educate the social stigmas that we face every day, which have major, major impacts and control over people's lives. There's a lot of people out there who have no choice but to face the consequences that come due to social stigmas. So I really try my best to normalize, again, not only depending on this, the professional opinions and resources out there, but also bringing in people to share their lived experiences. So anything, any last words on social stigmas?
Why you have to put me on the spot? Not really, but honestly, I think we're gonna come back to this at our next conversation. Right off the back, no, I don't.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. We'll definitely circle back around, and our next conversation's coming up because it breaks it down a little bit more detailed. This one was a
Yeah.
little bit more softer introduction. If any listeners in the audience would like to share their experience with social stigmas around suicide or self-harm, please share those in the comments or the question box. And then I guess my last question for you is that, again, I know we have later episodes where we'll go into more detail, but we talked about um, utilizing this first episode to specifically share your general experience as a person, reflecting how that impacted your life, just to give people a context about how you handled suicide in general. So I know some of your first experiences were around 18 years old, and you shared today your age that you are today. So, where you are today with what you now know with suicide, um, are you open or willing to reflect a little bit on speaking from the 18-year-old you on those experiences?
Yeah. 18-year-old me. I mean, I guess I'll just jump into it. First of all, let me tell you. So before, I don't know about right now, with the whole like coronavirus thing, but before Corona happened, suicide was the second leading cause of death on Guam. Um, that's a big deal to have suicide number two on why people die. That is a huge deal for such a small island. Again, I don't know what it is right now if Corona trumped that. But before Corona happened, that was the statistics. Okay. So 18-year-old me, quite honestly, I will just tell you, this was the first suicide experience that my family had to go through. My older brother committed suicide when I was 18. Um, at the time, honestly, again, this was still a time in my life where it was not really talked about, right? So, even after he died, it really wasn't talked about. It wasn't, I mean, of course, we're hurt, we're mad, we're sad that he did what he did. And we didn't have any answers as to why that route. But after that, it just wasn't talked about again, right? So, 18-year-old me was just as clueless, was just, I mean, same as in my younger years when I went through my little issues. 18-year-old me was still blank on the conversation, on the topic. Mental health was still not a thing back then. Talking suicide was still not a thing back then. Um, so yeah, no, I had no idea about any of it, even afterwards. So afterwards, after my brother died, of course, you're like, you want to get involved in all this stuff and whatever you can get involved in to help break the silence. And quite honestly, compared to now, it was not talked about. There may have been groups, but like support groups, or organizations and stuff like that, but they were not out there the way it is now. The way it's talked about, the way it's advertised, the way it's put out on social media. It was not anything like that when I was 18 years old. So my brother committed suicide like right when I got kind of out of my high school year. And just thinking about it, it was not talked about the way it is now. So really back then, that was still blank for me. The topic was still uncomfortable. Conversation was just not, it just wasn't there, honestly. And again, my personal opinion. When I speak about these things, I speak about within my family, within my circle, within the people that are around me, not talked about. Again, just swept under the rug, swept under the rug. And maybe not even purposely, you know what I mean? Like, again, maybe people just didn't know how to talk about it. People didn't know how to start that conversation, so it's not stuff that was on purpose or whatever. It was just, personally, I truly believe that it was just our culture. um I think that Chamorro pride always takes over, gets the best of us, like, oh, you're Chamorro, you're strong, don't be weak, you know you'll get over it, kind of thing. Like, oh, this is just a phase. Oh, you're just mad, that's why you're saying that, stuff like that, right? So that's what I mean by, it's probably not even purposely, it's just learned behavior, basically. We grew up with our parents being hella rough on us, what we consider tough love, right? And so, of course, if that's the behavior we grew up in all our life, it's a learned behavior. So you grew up being like, no, you can't talk about it because, that's for weak people or stuff like that. And so, of course, you grow up and that's the stuff that runs through your mind. Like, or growing up, certain things weren't talked about. So it's uncomfortable growing up to talk about it. It's uncomfortable to go to people and say, hey, I need help, or hey, you think you can reach out to somebody for me? Stuff like that, right? So as you grow up, that's your mindset because it's a learned behavior. You think that that's the only way. You think that that's the right way. So again, learned behavior, that's what you're going to do. You're going to grow up and you're going to think in your head like, this is uncomfortable, I'm going to stop here, or this is uncomfortable, I can't reach out to anyone, stuff like that, right? So that's really what it was. I think about it now, I think about all the things that I know now, having go through it so many times, having our world evolve, and actually people talk about it and stuff. And I think about it now and back when I was 18. So I'm 32 now. So that was many years ago. When I was 18, it was a blank topic, basically. I can't remember, after my brother died, I cannot remember anyone talking about it. And I don't even just mean like in my circle, right? I mean like in general. I don't remember anyone really talking about it. I don't remember as many groups or organizations on it. I really don't remember it being such a big thing. Again, I just feel like it was swept under the rug back in the day. Um, so yeah, that was my experience on 18-year-old me, knowing or going through that.
Yes.
And I see my sister Cindy online, who also at the same time that I went through it, she went through it with her kids. And I'm so proud of you guys for pushing through and growing up. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So, hey, sis,
definitely.
I see you. You're not alone.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate you sharing the experience. There's a lot of conversation going on in the comments right now. I just wanted to point out Kathy Jean 133. If we have a couple seconds, I'm going to let you in the box. Um, but
Sis, are you seeing comments that I can't see?
no, babe, we got the same comments.
I'm not seeing Kathy Jean.
Here, there's a couple comments flowing, so I'll just go ahead and read it out to you, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Kathy was saying that she, as a person who's experienced a family member to suicide, it's something that she'll never get over, which, yes, 1,000%. um it's something that lived on with us. And she also shared, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull these. I have contemplated suicide numerous times but cannot bear the thought of the damage that I will leave my family with. But sometimes you are drawn to suicide by the reckless condition of people. So
Read
that
that
was
one
Kathy's.
more time.
Let me pull it up.
I can't, yeah, I'm
So
not seeing that. Sorry.
I got you. No worries. Cindy responded. She said, "Love you, sis. I'm here for you." Shout out to Cindy. I love you too. I feel like I'm gonna cry. We're all here together. And just for some context, y'all, there's a lot of family in here, and a lot of us, have gone through the same experiences. So Kathy Jean is saying, "I have contemplated suicide numerous times but cannot bear the thought of damage that I will leave my family with. But sometimes you are drawn to suicide by the reckless conduct of people."
Ah, that is my sister. I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? I can't even see that you're online. Guys,
Is
so
it?
I'm not getting like the comments. The last comment I received was from Alicia XOXOXO with all the red hearts. Anything
Yeah.
after that, I'm receiving. Sis, oh my
Okay.
God. So that's actually Charles's sister who, you know, made me cry. Who I hold really close to my heart because she's helped my kids and I since Charles left. And no, that is not the way. Suicide is not the way, and you know that. Um, my kids and I are always here for you, regardless. I know your wife. She's always there for you, regardless. She's amazing. Oh, you got me ugly crying on camera, bro.
It's all good. That's all good. It's very emotional, and for everyone listening in, I know that when we get off of this live, we're gonna reflect and we're gonna think and we're gonna feel all the ways that this conversation has impacted us and has resonated with us. So I just encourage everyone to welcome in those emotions, welcome in the heaviness and the crying, because a part of that crying and addressing those emotions is healing. So we'll just go ahead and give each other a couple of seconds and everyone in the comments to just breathe together. We'll take a couple breaths. Show some love, y'all. Continue to drop some hearts in the comments, and
Why
we'll
can't
go
I?
ahead and move to the questions.
Why can't I see? But let me tell you, sis, Kathy, if you're still online, if it's anything I learned from all of this is, yeah, maybe the people around you lead you into a deeper or darker place, but this is a time where you choose you and you choose to take care of yourself and your family. And you know what? Sometimes the toxic around you is your blood, but sometimes you gotta let that go. Toxic people are toxic people. And if that's what is dragging you down and, making you think of that, that's where we have to choose us to take care of ourselves mentally. Um, and really reevaluate that. And not just necessarily people, but things. I mean, sometimes people become so miserable because of their jobs, right? Or their lifestyle, whatever it is. But for me personally, going through all of this, if it's anything I learned, and it's anything I had to like really reevaluate, it was the people in my life, the toxic people that were in my life, when my husband died, um, that really opened up my eyes on a lot of things, right? So, it was like the toxic people in my life, what I was doing for myself. You know what I mean? Like my lifestyle and stuff. So stuff like that, were dragging me down, or I felt like were dragging me down. Um, that's the stuff that we have to start to think about, when we choose us, when we choose to take care of us. And I mean that like mentally and emotionally. Um, that's what I mean when I say to choose you, and to choose you, really to work on you. I think we all owe that to ourselves, really to take care of us. Everyone always says, oh, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself. And a lot of times they say, oh, go get a manicure, go get a pedicure. Those are nice things. Definitely. They make you feel good for the hour or whatever. But truly, in my opinion, to me, taking care of me is taking care of me inside, because I've learned that when I started to take care of me mentally, I became a happier and better person. I'm not gonna lie. So that's how I feel when I say choose me to take care of me. That's the stuff that I want to do. Um, it's I get a pedicure every once in a while. I get a manicure every once in a while, and that's a 1 hour feel good type of pick me up thing for me. Okay, again, my personal opinion. That's me. Um, but when I sit down and reflect on myself mentally and emotionally, um, and the moves that I'm making now, that's what makes me feel better. And, um, because I also have to remember that I have kids to take care of. I have a little 2-year-old that you guys saw earlier that needs me for the rest of her life. So I have to make sure that my head is on right for that little girl, because she needs me now more than ever. So to be that's me taking care of me, and that's very important. So sis, if you're still online, I love you. I'm always here for you, however you need me. I know your wife is always there for you too, even if it's just to have dinner or lunch again and talk. I'm always here. And I love you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so grateful for you being in our family still and always checking up on me and the kids. I'm extremely, extremely grateful for you and your family. Guys, I can't see any comments or anything like that, so I'm really sorry. I'm not ignoring you. I truly can't see it. I can't hear you, by the way.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was saying that I got you. I'll read some of the comments as well, but I really feel encouraged to invite Kathy into the conversation, and she also clicked on the video request. So I'm gonna go ahead and see where this goes. If you all feel comfortable jumping in, that's going to actually I just wanted to really quick just say thank you to John Lee. That's actually that was our last question for this episode. So I want to thank you for sharing everything that you shared. We'll go ahead and jump into the questions. And if everybody feels comfortable, if anybody wants to jump in to reflect and to share these questions together, sis, do you want to open the floor, or should we save this?
Yeah, I mean, you can open it now. Since our next episode will be a whole different kind of topic kind of thing. Um, yeah, you can open it. I just can't see anything. I
I
can't.
got you.
Yeah, I can't
I'll
see.
go ahead and I'll go ahead and read some of the comments for you as well as the questions so that way you catch up. There's a lot of people showing some love to you. And then we'll also add Kathy in. I don't want to minimize the space for y'all to share. I just do want to be respectful with everybody's time. And I also want to let y'all know that if y'all wanted more time to debrief, the last episode, which is the panel discussion that'll be held on Zoom, there will be more time for all of us to unpack. And also, there's a link in my bio where I created a Google form where you guys can share any experiences openly or anonymously. Um, but yeah, we'll go ahead and open this up. So if anybody wants to come in and reflect on the conversation for the next 5 or so minutes, we can do that. Okay, let's see. So Kathy was saying Fran and I are here for you and the girls no matter what. I was inviting Cindy in, but she's at the kids' game right now and it's loud, so that's okay. She also is telling you to hang in there. You'll get through with your good support group. Um, Kathy was sharing that you and her girls are the reasons. Oops. Where did it go? These comments are flowing all over, guys. I am not keeping up, which is okay because I'm not a supercomputer, y'all. I'm a human being. Actually, I take that back. I'm a spiritual supercomputer. But yeah. Kathy showing love. You and the girls are supporting and helping. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the questions. Kathy's at work. There's a couple of questions here, so you want to get into it?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that.
All right. So, Alicia XOXO, have you ever thought that at times suicide is another sense of our brain finding a solution?
Yeah. So I mentioned if you weren't here in the very beginning, again, this is my personal experience or my personal opinion. Okay, this doesn't apply to everybody. So if you were here in the beginning, I mentioned that anytime things got rough or hard, that was my exit. That was what I thought of, right? So in my head, the first thing you do is the first thing I did, I mean, was that was my exit route, right? So in my head, that was my exit route. But this is why it's very important to start to learn to take care of you mentally. Because when you take care of you mentally, that learned behavior or whatever it is, however you thought that that was your exit route all the time, because that's what I thought, when you mentally take care of yourself, that your mindset starts to change, right? So I used to think that was my exit route all the time, right? Anytime shit got hard, excuse my language, anytime it got hard, oh, I'm gonna do this, oh, I'm gonna hurt myself, oh, or maybe that was my attention seeker, you know what I'm saying? um but yeah, when you learn to mentally take care of yourself, and I've just learned this in the last couple of months, is your mindset changes. You move from, oh, I want to hurt myself. I moved personally from, oh, I want to hurt myself, or, oh, this is too hard, to what can I do to fix this? Or what can I do to stop feeling like this so I can move on and I can get that thought out of my head? If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yes, I truly believe that, yes, that does work with your brain. And it messes you up. You just have to find the strength to want to really dig deeper and work on you mentally, so that your mindset can change, and you can have that, instead of that's how my brain works and that's my exit route, that's what my brain tells me, then you find another way for your brain to tell you, wake up, this is, you need to do this, you know what I'm saying? So to me, that's what helped me. And unfortunately, it took for me to go through what I went through this year to learn that. Okay, this is not a whole year working. I just went through what I went through this year to learn all of that, right? So, yes, I truly believe your brain messes with you and makes you believe that that's the way out, or, that's the solution, but it's not. So, however I can help you get to that point where you are ready to dig deeper and, mentally take care of yourself and to choose you, please let me know how I can help you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that question, Alicia, and thank you for responding as well. And I just wanted to touch base on that um, question just before we moved on to the next, um, which was, have you ever thought that at times suicide is another sense of our brain finding a solution? And again, this is all lived off of our based off of our lived experiences, and we don't know the medical still learning the medical side of everything like that, but usually our brains and our emotions and our just mentality is just this quick fix, this easy way out, because we just feel like there's no other route, there's no other way. But like how all of y'all have been sharing and saying as well, there's always a way. And I feel a little bit I want to be sensitive to people who feel that this way, like, oh, there's no other way, because we don't know everyone's experiences, and it could literally be a situation where it's like there's no other way. So we're just trying our best to cover and to share in whatever ways we can. But just supporting one another, just normalizing the conversation, talking about it, and reaching out. I did want to cover on this next question that Alicia also posted, which was, I used to hear if someone would talk about suicide, that it leads to suicide when the idea was there. So if I'm understanding this question correctly, it sounds like a social stigma in itself. I used to hear if someone would talk about suicide, that it leads to suicide because the idea was there. So I believe that, I mean, it's a possibility where somebody can like get that idea, but we always know that right from wrong. And not only that, that's a stigma in itself, that just because we're talking about it, now people are going to do it. The more we talk about it and the more we share it in the right ways, the more people will feel heard or seen. It's speaking off my experience as well, because again, I want to be sensitive to how we're sharing, but not to minimize what we want to say, because everybody's experience is different. But talking about it more, definitely, it just normalizes it, and it lets people know that it's okay. Because like we've been sharing before, we don't know how to say, oh, I need this or I need that. So did you want to touch base on that question?
Sure. Um, so that's actually like a real perfect question because a couple of months back, I attended a mental health awareness. I don't know what it was, a class or something. So got certified to be a, God, I can't even remember the term right now. Anyways, what is the word? I can't remember the word right now. But anyways, when I finally went back to work, after my husband died, my work thought it was very important that we touch up on mental health. So they put me through training that got me certified to be a mental health advocate, kind of, right? And so in this training, and when I got my daughter help, when I finally got my daughter help, um, so from her therapist and from the training, actually, what I learned is that people talk about it, people will say it or whatever. That doesn't necessarily lead to it. People will also, and again, please don't, this is not the way out. I'm just explaining my experience or what I've learned, okay? People will also hurt themselves not with the intention to die, right? So they say, oh, I want to commit suicide or in self-harm themselves, but not with the intention to die. So just because somebody talks about it, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because someone says I want to commit suicide or they talk about suicide, that doesn't mean that that leads to it, right? And proof, I've talked about it, I've attempted it, and I'm still here. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen to them or that's what they want, right? Again, in my daughter's therapy session, I learned that just because somebody injures, self-harms themselves, whether it's through all forms of trying or thinking that they want to commit suicide, that doesn't mean that that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to succeed. Sometimes, I mentioned this earlier, sometimes it's just a way of reaching out or seeking attention. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that, that that's going to happen. But just because I'm saying that, that doesn't mean we stop there. That doesn't mean that when somebody says it and you don't think that they're serious, that doesn't mean you stop there. That doesn't mean they're not serious. They're just angry. They're just gonna, don't do that. Definitely you need to reach out. Whether or not it's a joke, just reach out. You know what I mean? And do it privately, because if you're in a group setting or whatever, that may be uncomfortable for you to call them out like that in front of people, or if you're on a group chat and somebody messages that may be very uncomfortable. But please reach out to them privately. Don't stop there just because you think they're joking, or they say, oh, I'm just joking, we always say that all the time about anything in our life. Oh, I'm just joking, I'm just joking. But guess what? Sometimes we really mean it. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna say like, oh yeah, I do mean it, like, and I'm gonna, especially if you're calling them out on it. They're not, especially in front of a lot of people. No one's gonna say like, oh yeah, I do mean it, like I am gonna do it, yada yada, all that stuff, right? So yeah, no, just anytime somebody talks about it, whether or not it's them saying that they're going to do it or whatever, just reach out to them. Don't attack them about it. Definitely don't attack them. Just reach out and just be like, hey, you good? I just, you were talking about this subject, and I just want to make sure that, hey, you're good. If you want to talk about it, let me know, stuff like that. Or again, we go back to, if you can't help them but you know somebody that can. Chelsea is amazing at what she does. She's amazing at talking to people. So if you know somebody that can help them or that can lead them in the right direction, let them know, like, hey, I can't help you, but let me connect you with somebody that can. Let me reach out to my friend who is good at getting information. Chelsea's amazing at getting information. Even if she's in the States, she gets good information here on Guam. So yeah, just reach out to them, and whether or not they're talking about doing it or not, if it's just a conversation that alarmed you, just reach out to them and just be like, hey, I heard you talk about that, something going on, or is it just a topic that you're interested in, that you're talking about it, stuff like that. Yeah, just reach out to them. That, honestly, reaching out to somebody, even in the littlest thing, sometimes means the world to somebody, and sometimes that is what saves them. So please just reach out. Don't stop there. And like we've said, Chelsea and I've said from the beginning, we're here. DM us. Reach out to Chelsea if you need to. If you're trying to connect through me, we can privately give you the information, or we can help you look for information, or the right people. Because personally, I can't help everybody, nor do I have the answers for everybody, but I can help you get the information if you need. Chelsea can help you get the information. So please reach out to us or to anybody. We're willing to help.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. All these questions are just so packed, and they're so full. This is definitely one of 100 ways that we can go about things. And again, for anyone tuning in, or just to post check with the audience and the people listening in the future to this recording, we are definitely trying our best. Again, all of these shares that we're talking about is based on our lived experiences and our learned experiences. Either dealing with suicide, experiencing it personally, or having awareness from other people that are going through it. And our biggest goal is to just spark the conversation, to start normalizing having conversation about suicide, educating those social stigmas by us making noise into the silences about these taboo topics that we cover and that we go through. So we have one last question here, and then we'll go ahead and transition into to our closing. So, like I said, if anybody has any last questions, please feel free to use the question box. Um, check in the comments. Let us know how y'all are feeling, or whatever the case is, what you guys are thinking. And yeah, so this next question is from love.jjoy. How do we approach the person that's going through this stage of thinking about suicide? I tend to freeze and my mind just goes blank. So,
My heart.
yeah.
That got me so emotional. Let me tell you. At our next episode, you'll understand why. This really hits home for me, but thank you. What's her name again? Sorry, I can't see the comments, so I can't even go back to.
Do you see the question box? It's actually in the question box, so it should pop up outside of the comments.
What
But I'll
question?
read it again. Yeah. Love J Joy.
Hey. It goes to show that I've never done this before I found it. How do we approach the person that's going through that stage of thinking about suicide? I tend to freeze and my mind just goes blank. So you know what? This is actually a good thing. I learned this in my mental health training that I did a couple of months ago. And now that I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. So anytime we're going to talk to somebody about something, especially a topic like this, you always do it calmly. Please do not attack them. Do not attack them. Don't be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be thinking about that. Definitely not the route to go, because they're already in a stage that doesn't make them feel good, right? We want to make sure we make them feel good. Anytime you are going to talk to somebody, you always, always, always refer to it as I notice. So if your friend is, let's say you notice the change in your friend because she's not eating, right? So you notice oh, she's not eating. That's off. That's odd of her to not eat. You see that. So a lot of times when people go through a depression, they don't eat, right? Or they overeat, right? So if you notice that change when you talk to your friend, you always, always, always refer to it as you notice. So if I notice a change in Chelsea, I would go to hey, sis, I notice you're not eating as often as before. Is everything okay? You don't approach them as you're not eating as often. Don't put it on them. You're going to put it on you. So I'm going to put it on me, so that this is not about me, but this is saying I noticed the change in you. And really just kind of easing into your conversation with her or him. Because, if it's anything that I don't think is right, and this is my personal opinion, especially since my husband died and, going through everything that we had to go through, when somebody comes at you and attacks you right off the back about something, it makes you feel even more like crap. You know what I'm saying? So you're already feeling like crap. You're already feeling some type of way because whatever you're going through. And then when somebody comes at you and ask you a question, okay, you're already feeling bad. You're already feeling depressed. You're already, you don't want to dig them into a deeper hole in whatever they're feeling, whatever that is. So really just kind of ease into the conversation, and this is why we're here. This is such an uncomfortable conversation. And maybe you're like me, and maybe because you grew up learning that it's uncomfortable, nobody talked about it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. It was always swept under the rug. And this is why we're here to start this conversation, to make this a not comfortable conversation, to make this normal, to make this a conversation that we should talk about with people, or to make this a safe place. So you want to make sure that when you talk to your friends or your family or whoever it is you're talking to, that you bring them a safe place. Because when you go to them and you attack them, or you do it aggressively, they're not going to feel safe. So however they're feeling, whether it's their depression, whether it's a breakup that they're going through and that's why they're having a hard time, or that's why they're feeling or contemplating suicide or whatever it is, um, anytime we're so aggressive or we attack, it brings that person deeper into whatever they're feeling. And I know this because I was that. A couple of years, I fell into a very deep depression. And, you know, when people approach you aggressively, you're just like, you just want to bottle up even more. You know, like you want to cover your blanket even tighter and not look out at the world. So that's definitely what we don't want to do. We don't want to be aggressive about approaching them. We don't want to feel like we're attacking them. We want them to notice that we notice the change, that we, as their friend or as their family or as whoever, that we see them, that we notice them. That's definitely what we want to do. If you want to DM me, you know, to talk about that more, we can. But yeah, really, that's really what it is. So don't attack, don't be aggressive, just ease into the conversation. Um, it's gonna be uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It'll be very uncomfortable for you because it took a lot for me to have this conversation, to talk about these things. And I'll be very honest with you. It took a lot for me to talk about these things with my kids, who are the closest people to me, who I see every day. And it took a lot for me to be comfortable about it, right? So it's going to be uncomfortable at first. But honestly, once you break that ice about talking about it, you're going to be okay. And I pray that your friend will be okay. But just know that you may break the ice and start to be comfortable about it, but your friend may not be. Your friend may still be uncomfortable, but do not give up on them. Please do not give up on them. If you feel like it starts to get uncomfortable for you because they're still feeling uncomfortable, connect them to somebody else that you feel that maybe can reach out to them, or, you know, that can connect with them. Because just, you know, it's always, just because you feel a certain way or you can handle a certain something doesn't mean that the next person will. So it's the same. Just because you break the ice and you start to be comfortable about the conversation or the topic doesn't mean your friend is going to be, because you also have to remember that just as uncomfortable as you are for whatever reasons, they may be uncomfortable for whatever reasons, because they probably never talked about it before either. They probably never had a safe place to talk about it, or they probably nobody told them that going through this is normal and okay, but we have to learn to deal with it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, that was that was packed. And you definitely covered a lot of different points. So I just again want to thank you for sharing and sharing all your comments. Thank you to the audience that have been active in the question box and in the comments as well, sharing your experiences, sharing your thoughts, and sharing your love. To John Lee for coming on and sharing her stories. I did want to cover that it is a very uncomfortable conversation, and just for a little context as well before we close up, sometimes these things are definitely not talked about, and zoning it into our area code on Guahan. You know, Guam's just gone through many different experiences historically with the war, and you know, we have to remember that our great grandparents and our grandparents were silenced. They weren't allowed to talk about a lot of different things, and I am grateful for John Lee for talking about learned behaviors, because that's definitely what that silence is. Not only were we forced to be silenced, but then we started to learn that within ourselves, due to all our insecurities or our fears or our worries about what may happen if we do speak up. So I appreciate everybody for joining in and supporting the conversation. That was the last question. So we'll go ahead and close this conversation. I just briefly wanted to share with y'all what to expect for the upcoming episodes. Like I said again, John Lee's experience has just so many different experiences and so many different parts throughout her life. So I greatly appreciate her for being strong enough to come on camera and cry while talking to us and teaching us. I am crying internally as well. I like feel it in my soul. This is something that I've been working out for a really long time. So just because I'm crying, it doesn't mean that I don't feel sad or whatever the case is. And John Lee's latest experience is still very, very new and very, very fresh. So I thank you, sis, for still choosing to come on, even while you're still working through these things. What to expect for the next episode? John, do you want to share a little bit of that and the panel
I
briefly?
do, but let me get something real quick.
But please do that. While I wait, I'm going to say hi to everybody in the comments. What is going on, everybody? Love you, Cindy. Thank you, Joy. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the questions.
So what were we talking about? What was the last part again? Sorry.
Sharing what to expect for the next episodes.
Oh, so our second episode, which will appear next week, Saturday, same time Guam time, so that's 11 a.m. Guam time. I'm not even going to worry about what stateside time is because I don't know how to figure that out, so Chelsea will help you guys with that. Honestly, but our next story next week will really go a lot deeper into my experiences about suicide. My family has gone through 3 very close suicides. With the latest suicide of the man above. This is our king. I'll talk about the stories of the loss of my brothers and the loss of my husband, which was just a few months ago. And how that impacted my life, just because it's so many within just our family. But yeah, I'm so grateful for all of you guys listening, and I'm so happy that you guys joined us. If there's any way that Chelsea and I or I could help you, like I said throughout the live, please DM or message us. My Instagram is private. But if you DM me or you DM Chelsea and let me know who you are, then I'll definitely add you. And you can reach out to me that way. For personal reasons, I do not have my IG on public. So, but I'm willing to share with you if you're on this live and you need that. But yeah, however we can help, please let us know. This is why we created this and we decided to do this, is we want to make sure that people feel like they have an open and safe space. And we wanted to just really start talking about the conversation and the topic. And this is where we begin. So I'm so excited for the next one. I'm just really more excited to kind of break the silence. My kids and I, uh, it hits really close to home for us. So we want to help at least one person if we can, to help break the silence of suicide so that nobody else has to experience what we have. Especially for my little 2-year-old that you guys saw earlier. Definitely don't need or want a little 2-year-old to have to go through what my baby goes through because of suicide. So please reach out to us however we can help. We will help you and we are willing to. Thank you guys. I can't hear you, sis.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everybody. Again, I just wanted to plug the last discussion, which is going to be on the last Saturday of the month, the 28th, I believe. The flyer is on my page, where you can see the details and information. The panel discussion is going to be a multi-generational panel discussion. So there is going to be a panel of different age groups talking about their personal experience with suicide. So if you guys wanted to share, you guys wanted to join the conversation and actually share your stories, I encourage you to save that date so that you could show up. There will also be private breakout rooms, so that way the rooms can be a little bit more intimate with just a few people, and John Lee will actually be leading one of those rooms herself, as well as each panel. just really quick for some resources before we shut down. I know John Lee shared some of her resources, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Game Time Inc. on Guam, which is a nonprofit organization, and they are a youth sports group, and they also talk about mental health. Guam Coalition, which is also in Guam, is a nonprofit organization as well. Their members are community-based providers, government allies, and individuals who address sexual assault, family violence issues on Guahan. I share them because they do have a lot of resources, information, trainings that's open to the public. There's a lot of hotlines. There's many panel discussions and webinars that they host to educate the public on these very things that we go through. So please use the resources that are out there and support the community resources that are out there, because they are out there. There are people out there that are willing to help. I'm not saying that it's perfect, and sometimes there are going to be holes, but there are a lot of resources out there as well. For anybody that is not on Guahan or from Guahan as well, the national hotline, of course, 741-741 is a crisis text hotline where you can actually text. So if you don't want to talk and call and use your voice, you can just text to just check in and share how you guys are doing. So thank you again, John Lee. I greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to the next episodes coming up.
Of course, guys, don't forget to follow Tuma Guam. They talk up mental health awareness. Their story also, suicide hits close to home for them. Please follow them, show them some love. This is our way of really reaching out in the community and getting people to talk about this and making this normal conversation. So again, Tuma Guam, they are on Instagram, and it is TUMA. And if you want my shirt, Crowns Guam released this in collab with Tuma, so please follow them. Reach out to them if you'd like to get this shirt. But yeah, I'm so blessed to have you all. Thank you guys so much again, and I hope to see you guys next week.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. For everybody just tuning in, we'll be able to upload this and save it to IGTV, so that way you guys can catch up there, as well as on the podcast, the Social Progress Podcast. And I just want to appreciate all of you guys for coming in and joining us to educate the social stigmas, suicide through lived experiences. I'm your host, Chelsea, aka Guam Social Progressor. Thank you, Johnny Lee. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Bye, guys.